This morning, and we're going to work on the relearn packet. And as you know, in each of these sections of the relearn packet, you're going to do the section A, or each of the parts of the relearn packet. You're going to do section A. That's the one that I'm going to do with you as I talk through and talk to you about some of the mistakes I saw on the test. And then you're going to do section B and C on your own. But the thing I want you to remember is do not do section B until, do not do section C until such time as you finish section B and had it checked by someone who is really, really good at what they're doing. Obviously, that can be me. It could be Mr. Frank if you wanted to see him. It could be an older brother or sister or a really good friend that's excellent at math, not just good. It's got to be excellent. Or a parent that understands and knows math really well. So, without any further ado, let's get started on this. Here's the first section. And as I look through these particular kinds of questions, let me move some desks here. As I look through these questions, what we're really talking about here is if you understand input and output. So, trying to get my little pen to work, my magic wand. Beautiful. Okay, so the first function is f of x equals 3x minus 4. And I really don't want you to read it the way I just did. Over time, we'll get comfortable with that. But what this is really saying is f of x is the output. So the output is 3 times x is the input minus 4. So the output is 3 times the input minus 4. Output is 3 times input minus 4. So now we're going to substitute a negative 4 in for x. We're going to plug it in. So that gives me 3 times negative 4 minus 4. 3 times negative 4 is equal to negative 12. And a negative 12 and a negative 4 altogether is negative 16. So once again, the key point that we're trying to emphasize here is input and output. Now, for the function g of x, it has to do with the translation of the different versions of Word. It lost what the equation editor said. Should say g of x is 2/3 x plus 1. And when we get to section B and C, I think one of them says 43, realize that's 4/3, and one of them says 23, realize that's 2/3, when it involves with the function g of x. So make those corrections on your paper. You might want to do that now. Okay, g of 9 then would become 2/3 of 9 plus 1. Now, you could do this on your calculator, and the thing you have to remember if you do it on your calculator is you absolutely, positively have to put the 2/3 in parentheses. So you would do parenthesis 2 divided by 3 parenthesis. That's how you enter a fraction on a graphing calculator. If you're using a scientific calculator, you can use the ABC button. 2/3 times 9, the other way to do it arithmetically is to divide the 3 into the 9 and get 3. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 plus 1 is 7. Okay? Next up, again, remember, h of x is saying the output is the input squared plus 4 times the input minus 5. In this case, the input is negative 2. And this is the other important time to make sure when you're using a graphing calculator, any fractions, like the 2/3 over here, or any negative numbers, like the negative 2 here, you always, always, always use parentheses when you input them. Okay? Negative 2 squared is 4. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8 minus 5. This would become negative 4 minus 5, which is negative 9. I had a student last year at the high school who understood how to do input and output, but he just didn't put a negative sign in front of his input with parentheses for much of the year. And he would constantly get 2 or 3 questions wrong on every test. It cost him like 12 points until eventually he figured it out. Okay, next up, j of 1. Now, what we're getting at with this question, and that's why, you know, tests are designed to be very surgical in terms of what it is they're going after. J of x is different. This is saying negate whatever you get for the input squared. Negate whatever you get for the input squared, then add 2 times it. So I'm going to input a 1, so I'm going to get 1 squared, and then I'm going to negate that, plus 2 times 1. So 1 squared is 1, then I have to negate it, I get negative 1. And 2 times 1 is 2, and negative 1 plus 2 is 1. And the last one is like unto it. K of x is equal to 3x squared minus 4, so this becomes 3 times 1 squared minus 4. 1 squared is 1, so 3 times 1 minus 4, and 3 times 1 is 3 minus 4. That is negative 1. Okay, so there's the answers to all of the first section of the relearn packet. If you had any difficulties, I hope you understand it better now. And it's a good deal. So let's go on to section 2 for anybody who might need that.